And if you need a cab, there is a new app for that. It just launched today in Montreal. It's called Halo, and it lets you hail the closest taxi by tapping a little button on your smartphone. Russell Hall is the co-founder of Halo International, and he joins me in studio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So how does the app work?
So it's a free application from the Google Play or App Store. Download the app, and you can get a licensed taxi to you wherever you are in 2 taps of a smartphone.
Okay, so when you say a licensed taxi, who comes?
One of the licensed taxis in Montreal.
Any one of them?
It's the nearest one. It's geolocated.
Right. So does that mean that you've got all the companies that are working in Montreal on your payroll?
Yeah,
how does it work?
The drivers are individuals. They can work with whoever they want to work with. So, I mean, a driver will maximise, especially like different cities. You can belong to a company, like in London, drivers belong to separate brokerages, but you can also have Halo. It's about drivers being able to maximise their day shift. They spend a lot of time sitting at train stations, airports, hotels, yet 2 streets away there's someone that needs a taxi. Mm-hmm. So this fills that void. Okay,
and so how do you go about signing up taxi drivers, for example, in Montreal?
So we've got a team that go out sort of every day, and they approach the drivers and tell them about Halo, how successful it is. We've got 42,000 drivers worldwide. We're in 14 cities. We're up the road from Toronto. And it's a massive success. It's just for drivers, licensed drivers, all regulated. We do have a certificate to prove that we are a authorised, regulated company. And it's been a success. So drivers do come down to our offices in Saint Laurent Boulevard.
Right.
Is that right?
Saint Laurent. Yes.
I forgot the number, but it's 42886 or something like that.
Okay.
But it's bright yellow, so you can't really miss it. Mm-hmm. And we're doing quite well. Drivers are very interested, and they're hearing what's happening in Toronto, which is a great success. So they're coming down in their, hundreds.
I'm wondering what the other taxi companies are saying. Companies like Diamond, for example, which already have an app to call a taxi.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's Montreal Canadians.
Yeah.
So they have opposition.
Oh,
opposition's pretty healthy, isn't it? So
they're not loving you, is the not polite way of saying that.
I don't know about that. We love, if anyone does anything positive for a taxi driver, then we haven't got a problem with that. It's just to supplement, the downtime. Mm-hmm. We see it as an extra string to your bow, for instance, for a driver. Mm-hmm. If he's waiting for a particular a rank or a particular point where he's going to get offered a brokerage job and he gets a Halo job, he's maximising his efficiency. And I think that's what it's all about.
So what if I'm not a licensed taxi driver? Can I drive for you?
No. So there's a strict code whereby everything gets verified. So we take all the particulars of the driver, so the driver's licence, the taxi licence. And then before you become, past the red rope, so to speak, to get into the club, which is Halo, that all has to be verified.
Right. So, and you started this in London. I mean, you've been mentioning Toronto, but the first city that you started this in London, and was it a success there?
It's like any new concept. It started off very, very slowly. And now, it's had massive backing. It was the biggest European startup, $50 million. So it's a serious business, and I'm quite fortunate to be one of the founders that goes to each city to meet people like you, talk about it, and I'm quite happy. It's been 2 years. We just celebrated our 2nd birthday, and a few little facts is that we've almost carried 1 million passengers. And they've almost taken 9 million trips in 2 years. Okay,
so I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. We had the CBC spoke to the head of the Quebec Taxi Driver Federation, and he had a couple of questions that I will put to you, basically related to customer service. So one of his main questions was, well, so what do riders do if they have a problem with a driver? Like, how would you complain?
Okay, well, first of all, we're quite unique, whereby if I picked you up, Sue, at the end of the trip, you've got an opportunity to write. We rate each other. So we've got 1 to 5 stars. If there's a problem, then obviously the passenger can give a driver 1 star. And obviously as well, to guard the passenger, the driver's got opportunity to rate yourself.
Oh, that's interesting. So what, you get out of the cab and I say, I thought this and this and this.
Yeah, so you make 1 star and that flags up in our office. Okay. So if any passenger has a problem with a driver, and that driver has a problem with a passenger, we normally sort out amicably.
Right, but how? I mean, is there a mechanism by that?
Yeah, you just email, and then we sort out from there.
Okay. And what about discipline for drivers? What if you get a number of complaints and that a real flag goes up? What do you do?
Cool. We remove them from the service.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
The other kind of interesting question that came up was that this guy from the Quebec Taxi Drivers Federation didn't seem to know about you guys at all. How or have you been reaching out to local drivers?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, we've been out to the ranks, and if we talk to them face to face, as I said, taxi drivers are no different from Montreal to London. They're all a bit sceptical. They want to sort of take time to think about it. Sometimes they may have to change their phone, talk to their wives, etc., etc. But all in all, it's been a game changer. I think that's the most important thing for taxi drivers and the riding public in general. Why stand in the rain? You don't have to go out into the street. As I say, 2 taps, you can actually see how long the taxi's going to be. You're going to get his name. You're going to get his roof sign number. So everything's regulated. You're never going to miss out on and waiting on street corners and being told, the taxi's going to be here 10 minutes and it doesn't arrive, and you ring back and so it's going to be another 5 minutes, and it ends up being half there, getting very, very frustrated. With Halo, it's a real time seeing a taxi come towards you.
All right, I have a couple of texts that are coming in. One texter says, I'm a Montreal taxi driver. It's the best thing ever to happen to our industry in recent history. But this texter says, if your guest could get his taxi drivers to open my door and not talk incessantly on his cell phone, he'd get my business. Do you have any way of monitoring apart from your star system?
What,
the way they behave?
The drivers?
Yes.
I mean, again, as I say, if any passengers have got any grief with any drivers, then we try and sort it out amicably. And in London, it's not uncommon that, passengers will have a grumble about drivers and drivers grumble about passengers. But at the end of the day, there's always probably someone's got out of the bed the wrong side, which some people do. It's not the cab driver's fault if you've had to do something really difficult that day.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.